my very best to get this job that I so crave.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Fanzone Debate. I think we got a good one for you here today. We got Jacoby Bancroft. We haven't seen him since, I believe, the beginning of the season when he took on Rue in a very good match. Rue going on to challenge Kirk for the title at the time. So a great match there. And then we got him going up against Cody Newberry, who also just lost to Kirk. So both of these guys, their last outings, losing to Kirk for the title, and now they're back to play each other. It's going to be fun, going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. This is going to be weird. These guys have very different play styles. Me and Brian are like very seasoned at this point when it comes to the judging and everything. And then I'm just like, hey, Scully, you want to come die? So he just showed up for it. So
I'm always down for a bad time.
But like I said, we got Brian and Scully here. Brian, we'll start with you. How are you doing tonight? And are you looking forward to this one?
I'm doing pretty good. I would rather die watching debate like this than die watching some of the other kinds of debates we've had to judge. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Jacoby, known as kind of a fun guy and a jokester, but he's clearly a formidable debater when he gets down to it, as we saw in his previous run. And Cody sometimes has opinions that he likes to argue about. So, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, former champion of the league, Jacoby. I forgot to mention earlier when he played Kirk. I hate him eternally because he took my belt. I'm just kidding, Jacoby. Love you. Scully, you're here as well. I purposely don't tell people what matches I need them to judge for, because I know that sometimes they might just say no. So I'm like, hey, can you judge a debate? Sure. Throw you in the green room. Ah, fuck. But I think you're here for a good one. How are you feeling, Scully?
Yeah, and this will be fun. These are two very passionate people, so to speak. Jacoby a little bit more on the chaotic good side. Cody very much in the true evil sense that, you say the wrong thing. It's like lighting a firework, and we're all Jason Pierre-Paul. So we'll see if we have all of our fingers at the end of this.
It's fair. I think I can predict what they would say in opening interviews already. Like, I don't even know if we need to bring them in. Cody's going to be like, I lost that hack Kirk, fuck Blade Runner, and fuck the Terminator. And then Jacoby's going to be like, I get so nervous doing this, but I love doing it. Oh my God. So I think those are the tunes we're going to hear, but we'll see. And we're going to start by bringing in the lower ranked player, Mr. Newberry. Cody, welcome to the arena. You are here to play Jacoby. I announced that you'd be playing Jacoby earlier, and ever since I told you that, you said, when do I get him? When do I get to play Jacoby? And then I made the green room, and you said, you son of a bitch. And now you're here, and we're actually doing it. How do you feel?
A few things. Roy Batty, piece of shit villain. Brooklyn Vale, I hate you. 3, me and Jacoby can agree that Kirk is a hack, and Jacoby shouldn't have lost to Kirk. And no, I love to Kirk. So Kirk, you guys are a favorite of Kirk's, and we don't like you for that. No, it's going to be fun. I'm glad me and Jacoby kind of had the same idea for this debate. Is we wanted to argue stuff that we enjoy, versus just try to find something that's weak in their regards. That's what I tried to offer to Kirk, but Kirk's like, no, have you ever seen Kurosawa? It's fantastic. And then, you ever seen Day of the Dead? Like, no one cares. It's terrible too. Listen, I'm just excited because we picked 4 things that we like for the most part, I think, and we'll be able to at least have a good debate. If he beats me, he was the former champion. He has every right to come back and go for that belt again. If I win, I've seen some of the debate that has went on. No one's deserving to play Kirk in that field, but it's all right. I'll get my shot at some point.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Cody, looking forward to it as we bring in Jacoby. Jacoby, welcome. You have a mustache.
Yes, I do. Thank you. That's it. And that's all we need to do.
Yeah, is that all we need to talk about? No. The last time we saw you, you played Rue in the season opener. You were mad at me then. And now you're playing Cody. Are you still mad at me, or can we be friends again?
I just need to say that I am so nervous. I don't know why I do this, but I also know why. It's because this is a lot of fun. And that's, at the end of the day, it's what it is, right? So it's like a really weird love-hate relationship. Cody is interesting debater and an interesting presence in this league. And a part of me is excited to see him yell at me because I love a good Cody yell. But a part of me is very afraid of it. So it's going to be a wild time. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm happy to be here, I think.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard somebody say, I love a good Cody yell. God. Anyway, this is going to be a very exciting match. I'm looking forward to it. So, guys, here's how the show is going to work. The players have drafted categories, and then I gave them questions based off of those categories that they are going to debate tonight for our very souls. So each question, you guys are going to get a 1-minute opening, followed by a 5-minute free form, followed by a 1-minute closing. And there are 4 of those prep questions. So first person to 3 is the winner. If we are tied 2-2 coming out of those prep questions, we will go to a bonus speed round debate question. Gentlemen, do you have any questions about how this is going?
No.
Let's
have a good match, Cody.
Let's try.
Oh, I know what I missed. Brian, Scully, and I are going to vote. We're going to vote on our boards. Best 2 out of 3 wins the point. So there you go. All right, then let's get into it. I agree with Brian. I'm very excited for this because it's actually people who know how to debate for once.
Don't put that pressure on us. It's been a while.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get right into this, starting with the first question, which was drafted by Mr. Bancroft. This was in the category of science fiction, specifically Jurassic Park. And the question is, what is the best dinosaur moment in a Jurassic sequel, specifically The Lost World and 3 are the 2 movies we're looking at today. So Jacoby, you will get to start this one because you drafted the question, and you will get 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking, and I will come in to give you a 10-second countdown.
All right. Okay, the best dinosaur moment in the Jurassic sequels is the Pteranodon attack in Jurassic Park 3. I think this scene really highlights everything fun, scary, and thrilling about this franchise. The way the scene is constructed is actually quite cool when you break down how much awesome stuff they fit into this relatively short sequence. You have the dread as they're surrounded by fog, the slow realization that they're in a giant bird cage, the emerging of the Pteranodon from the mist, the epic chase that goes along with this, the redemption and sacrifice of a shitty character, the slow turn from the Pteranodon at the end. All of this is what makes the Jurassic Park franchise so exhilarating. I think the best dinosaur moment from the sequels should be the one that's exciting and new and actually gives you something to talk about. My scene introduces a brand new dinosaur threat that gives the overall movie a shot in the arm and is arguably the best sequence in the movie. That's why the Pteranodon attack totally rules.
All right. Cody, we will move over to you. You now have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
It's funny that he used highlight because you can't see shit in that scene, but I'll talk about that at a later moment. My scene I picked from The Lost World Jurassic Park. I think the thing about a sequel is you have to pay a little bit of homage to the original, but also expand the world and continue on. So I picked the Compies attack of Dietrich, where they eat him basically alive in The Lost World Jurassic Park. The thing I love about the first Jurassic Park is the horror elements, the overall fear of where these dinosaurs come from, and I think nothing describes that more than this scene. It's basically a callback. Dietrich's being a dick, shocks one of them with a taser, and then they all come out, and he's like, oh, they're just little, I'll kick him around, and then they end up taking him down in kind of a brutal manner and eating him. I think it just brings back that horror elements of the first one that makes you that makes you fearful of the dinosaurs. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
Okay. All right. So you guys are going to have 5-minute free form. When there is 1 minute left, I will throw that up on screen for you guys. And then I will come in for the 10-second count like I did before. but please no talking over each other, or I will come in and beat you with a stick. Have a good time.
All right. Here's my issue with Dieter's death. Cody, do you know your sequence is like 5 minutes long? Like 5 minutes to watch one guy die. The idea of Dieter getting like a comeuppance is nice, but the execution is bloated. You say it's horror, but it's not. It's just overdrawn. Like we watch Dieter yell for help. We watch him stumble. The compies come in. It's like goofy. Then they run away. Then they come back. Then they run away. And then they come back. And it just takes so long for anything to happen in that scene, where my scene attack is actually a horrific scene in the way that it's structured, way more than yours is.
Yeah, I mean, I think yours gets the shock value of the new dinosaur, but the Spinosaurus is also introduced. I think if you're going to pick one from 3, the T-Rex versus Spinosaurus would have been the one to choose from 3, but 3 is an abomination in itself. Listen, I think the foggy stuff, it's very hard to see what's going on. A dinosaur walking down something to try to like intimidate the characters, and then you see them fly. Yeah, it's cool to see a dino fly, but overall, movies in the that go later do it better. And overall, I think the only shock value you get is because it's new, it's surrounded by the water, you see the fly, you see the stuff, but overall that doesn't make your scene any better. I think with Dieter getting hunted down in a slow, methodical thing, if the T-Rex would have broken out of the cage in the very first one and just ate the kids, the movie's not that exciting. The slow, methodical track down of Dieter where he eats them, it pays off pretty well.
I don't think it does pay off super well because of how long that it takes to actually happen. I mean, Dieter's death is an anomaly. You say it's like for anything new in there. We already had a better compy scene at the beginning of The Lost World when they attack a little girl at the beginning and she's horrified. At that point, you've established that the compies are a threat. So all the horror of the scene is gone. All the surprise is gone. That's why my scene is better, because we don't know at that point that the pteranodons are these very scary threats. We never thought that they could be, but the reveal of just like, oh God, they're in a bird cage right now. What does that mean? And the way the pteranodon emerges from the mist, you say the scene is dark, but the scene actually uses its darkness to its advantage in order to be exciting and thrilling instead of just long and just like, okay, Dieter dies. That's it.
I mean, you can say the first one, they use the compies and they scare it. We don't see anything that happens with the girl. There's a bunch of scream that's going. It's implied, but overall, I'm taking through the dino moments of pain. I think you're taking the 5 minutes as a little bit drawn out. I do not think that it feels that long or it's that long of a scene. You basically see what happens. Yeah, they run off scared. He's kicking them away. He's going. And then they start piling up more in numbers, take him out, eat him. They rip at the nose, and then they jump behind that log and they finish him. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I think the horror elements work really well. Again, I don't disagree. Yes, it's dark in your scene, and I think they try to use that. The problem is they use it as a disadvantage. It's hard to see what's going on, and many times in the Jurassic Park trilogy that we're basically in, the track down of them hunting down the humans, but something falls and they fall into the water and nothing really happens. And then they use the character to eat off the one character that's pointless in the film. You said it yourself in the thing. I'm saying I think you're sitting there as a 9-year-old, cool, flying dino, but overall doesn't live up to the hype of what they could actually do in that film. They don't rip them apart.
Dinosaurs are awesome, and they're supposed to be awesome. They're supposed to be thrilling, and they're supposed to be exciting. I'm sorry, the compies are not so much, because we talk about the character who gets just totally destroyed by Dieter. But the fact is that when he's a character who gets ripped apart, it's like, yeah, of course that he should die. Billy actually goes through something where he is a shitty character, and then he gets a moment of redemption. It's actually a character growth moment there while all the stuff is happening, while they're being attacked by giant birds in the sky, while Alan Grant is fighting a pteranodon in a cage, while Alex is trying to fight off being eaten by the little baby birds. I'm saying all that stuff is what Jurassic Park should be. You keep saying your moment harkens back to how cool, and horror like the original Jurassic Park was, but that's not like it's not. It's just one individual scene where I'm saying my moment is better and encapsulates what Jurassic Park should be and why it should be exciting.
Well, I think it's really weird that you're using some stuff as like facts, but they're really not. Alan Grant really doesn't fight off anything. When they drop off the kid in the nest, he runs away from it. There's no real.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's no real fear in that thing. You see them flying. You see them in the parachute. They're the cool elements of both. I guess we both. I'm sorry that compies aren't exciting for you. I loved it. He shocks someone with a taser gun, and they get their revenge on him. It's perfect. It's exactly what happens to dick characters inside Jurassic Park. You used one where I'm telling you, You haven't argued. The pterodon, the humans inside that cage were never fear of anything of those characters at all. Classic Jurassic Park, because they just march down and then the thing collapses and it lands on top of it. The one thing that's going to attack the real main characters from the thing. It's not a cool dino
you don't
moment.
like your main characters in danger, but the main characters in the situation, what makes it awesome?
What makes it awesome? Strike it from the record.
Main characters in what?
Cody, you are going to get to close first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
I think the overall cool moment of it is basically the revenge of the compies coming for Dietrich and ripping him to shreds. I think that's awesome inside of Jurassic Park. It's the same way we liked when, I can't think of the name, but Newman gets eaten by the thing inside his truck in the first one. It's those characters that dick around with dinosaurs and then get fucked up by them. The one thing the three didn't do is, we need a flying dino. They bring in the flying, and I guess flying was cool. It never seemed cool to me. It was very boring, and it's hard to see what the hell's going on. The main characters, classic Jurassic Park, where they have the hunt down of the character, he doesn't do anything to Alan Grant or any of the characters. He falls and gets landed on, and the one character that's a dickhole that gets some redemption that Jacoby tries to explain gets eaten and done. They don't rip them to shreds. They could have done so much more that the other movies shown in future that they do. They don't do it in this one, and that's one of the major problems. They just pick up and drop. I don't care about carrier pigeons at the end of the day. My thing is, the compy's ripping Dietrich to scare. He's a dick character. He gets his revenge. They get their revenge. It's an awesome scene. It's a great dino moment.
I didn't hear what the last word you said was, because I
Good.
said strike it.
Keep it in. Nope, keep it.
We'll bring in Jacoby. You have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
I think both of our scenes end with someone getting pecked, and I asked you what's better, watching tiny, annoying squirrels bite someone or watching gigantic skeletal beasts thrash and tear somebody apart. The Pteranodon attack is a lot of fun, it's exciting, and a lot of cool individual moments happen around it. All the criticism that Cody said about it, like it's dark, the scene uses to its advantage to create the scenario about that. And Cody's instances are so rooted in just like, well, it's just like what happened in Jurassic Park. It's just like what happened with Wayne Knight's character, everything. It's the same thing happening. My scene actually introduces something new and exciting to the franchise and doesn't do it in a way that's bloated and repetitive and not as exciting as Cody's scenes is. I think my scene represents the best of my movie, while Cody's scene represents like the worst of his. I mean, these beasts are ruthless and they're scary, and the movie is able to highlight that well in a not very silly scene like Cody's. So that's why I think the Pteranodon attack is the much better dinosaur moment in the dinosaur franchise.
All right. Please kill me slowly. Okay. It's been so long. Okay. What did I do with my marker? Oh, no. Oh, we might have to pause. Never mind. I found it. It was in my pocket. Okay. Are you guys both good to go?
Yep.
Okay. I will start. This was good. Yay. Thank you. I went with Jacoby. I thought that Jacoby's closing was really strong. Up to that point, they were kind of even for me. And I thought Cody's closing was really strong too. But Jacoby's point about kind of turning one of Cody's strong points for me of like, it harkens back. Jacoby kind of using that as like it's actually just a worse version of that. And it's not exciting in my scene while having the great dinosaur stuff. Is something new and fresh in the franchise as well, and that the criticisms that Cody brought up were actually like real highlights and not bad things. But honestly, it was really close. I thought they did a good job of like the back and forth, like every punch the other person took, it kind of like they kind of equaled each other out until the closing. The closing, I thought Jacoby's closing was just stronger. So, Brian, where are you going?
Yeah, this is an interesting debate because I think they were two very different moments. Like one, they talk about his redemption, and the other one's more of a comeuppance and revenge, and so it's kind of like two different things. So I mean, they're both good moments. I did end up voting for Jacoby. While I do not agree with him that the compy scene. It represents the worst of that movie because
No.
it's actually I like that scene quite a bit.
I do too.
But I do think that his strongest point was basically how he took the attacks about the fog and the darkness and that and said that's the point. It uses to its advantage, and that's what makes it so dreadful.
Okay, Thomas, where are you going and why? You're muted.
I'm muted. So sorry. I went with Jacoby as well. Purely because I think he was able to hammer on the uniqueness factor of his scene and make it its own special scene with newer elements added to this universe. Also, I think Jacoby was able to make a higher quantity of rebuttals against Cody's points, whereas I think Cody kept playing defense on the same 3 points that Jacoby just kept hammering on. And I think gave Cody less time to construct his overall argument. So I think that was a really good job, really a well done job by Jacoby to do that.
Okay. All right. So Jacoby wins the first point, but we are going to move on to the second question, which was drafted by Cody, and it is going to come in the category of Pixar. And your question is, if I can find it, your question is, what is the best Pixar sequel or spinoff? So Cody, you drafted this, so you get to go first. What is the best Pixar sequel or spinoff? 1 minute when you start talking.
The best sequel for a Pixar for me, and it's not close, is Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 built the world was built in the first one, and it was expanded and introduced characters throughout it that actually had meaning and purpose throughout the story. It has some of the best sequences of all time in it. I think that airport scene is in an animated movie is one of the best. When Somebody Loved Me, by the introduction of Jessie and why she does not want to the life that Woody wants. Woody basically being the leader and kind of being taken over by Buzz and finding and his actual purpose in life and still deciding to be with the friends. We get Buzz's backstory of him and Zurg and that entire story, which is still the best thing it's ever done in a Pixar sequel for Zurg. I think we get an awesome villain, a Prospector Pete, that actually has the same motives of why he doesn't want to be there. Toy Story 2, that's one.
All right. We'll move over to Jacoby, who has 1 minute to open his argument when he starts talking.
We both picked really great sequels, so I think this is going to be an interesting one, but I have to argue why Toy Story 3 is the better sequel than Toy Story 2, and I think what it comes down to is what the movies are ultimately saying. Toy Story 2 is great because, as Cody said, it introduces new ideas and new characters to make a really exciting film, but Toy Story 3 takes all those ideas introduced in both Toy Story 1 and 2 and gives them a proper emotional and exciting conclusion. I mean, Toy Story 3 had the harder job of making a trilogy ender, and it just knocked it out of the park. From the fantastic the Western opening that ties into the first film but makes it better, to its follow through on the ideas set forth in Toy Story 2 regarding what happens when Andy grows up, to its really awesome prison break sequence that feels like a step up from what we got in Toy Story 2, and of course its whole final act, which is both emotional and incredibly tense. And I think all of those elements, and for what the trilogy ender was able to do, is what makes Toy Story 3 the best Pixar sequel.
Time. Okay. No one wanted Cars 2, I see.
Right there. I was this close.
All right. You guys have 5 minute free form when one of you starts talking.
So overall, I think that you picked my movie just done later in life. I'm basically your movie is very, very reminiscent of 2, and it's shown in even up to the villain. My thing is with your movie, it's an emotional manipulation movie. That's basically all it is. There's many, many moments to make all those people that grew up with those characters to cry in the theaters and make them upset. And then they try to do that emotional payoff at the very end where they give away the character to this kid that you're supposed to automatically care for, but you don't care for. And that's the whole point of this movie. This movie was a cash grab from Disney. The only reason it gets as much praise as it does is because of its acclaim and its Best Picture nomination and everything over. Overall, they were never going to burn in that furnace. There was nothing more. That's it.
See, but I don't think it's manipulative because it actually feels earned. And I think all my emotional moments hit hard because they're rooted in history and character. When Andy waves goodbye, we know how much this means to him. When the toys hold hands in the incinerator because they would rather die together than alone, it's because of everything that they've gone through in the last 20 years. When the Claw rescues them, it's the perfect payoff. All those moments are earned. And screw you for saying my movie is manipulative. The Jesse scene is great, but my scenes don't need a Sarah McLachlan song to play over it to make it sad. So due to that.
My thing is you're sitting there and holding hands in the theater, even though that your movie literally takes all the characters, moves them completely away from their original beings and who they are as characters, throws in a bunch of new characters that don't have any staying power in the franchise whatsoever, and that's the one major take. Lotso is basically Prospector Pete, but stuck to a garbage truck. He does not have any emotional arc. He does the exact same thing. He only keeps the toys around for his own personal gain. The same thing that Prospector Pete does in the very first one. Yeah, mine may have a Sarah McLachlan, but overall, all the characters introduce Al, the Woody's Roundup, everything introduces Jesse as an actual good character and not a rip-off Buzz that yours gets in the 3, and forgets who Buzz is as a total character in number 3.
I totally disagree with that statement about Buzz, about how I will, because it does. Because what Buzz does in it, yes, he has the Spanish mode, with a lot of people don't really like for that. But what sidelining Buzz does a little bit in that movie gives room for every other of the characters to grow a little bit. Gives Rex, gives Jesse, gives Mr. Potato Head, gives the Piggy Bank, I forgot his name for a second there, all things to do more. And that's what the franchise is. It's about all these toys. Toy Story 2 is very Buzz focused, and that's great. But I like my Toy Story to have a lot of toys in it. And you say,
what does yours do more?
It does everything that yours movie does, except better, Cody.
You said a bunch of your characters get to do more in the film. That's a total bullshit. They introduced a whole bunch of new characters, but the actual team has to save Woody from it. They're actually a team up film. They actually get to the airport. They actually help everybody through. Yours is a bunch of characters that are introduced. The only standout from your new movie is Ken. That's the only standout from the new movie.
An all-time great toy character, by the way.
Right, but guess what? Doesn't do anything beyond that.
Hold on. They say they don't get to do anything, but that's in Toy Story 2. All Buzz does is lead them there, and they make quips. My toys, the stars of the movie, actually get to be involved in the prison break process. You watch those scenes and they're all involved in some capacity and working for it, and they're all working congruently together. It's different than following Buzz to go do things and then working together to do that. And my movie is just more fun. I'm sorry, the way that it constructs all these scenes together is just better. It's better than watching them walk from the house to get Andy. They do actually more exciting things with it in terms of prison breaks, in terms of that whole incinerating thing. And I'll say just for Lotso being a discount, Pete, Lotso does everything he does, and Pete is just an out and out villain. There's no interesting layers to him whatsoever. Lotso is the one who has the deeper backstory with Big Baby that we get to watch.
Your character gets a backstory, but he does the exact same things. I'm sorry, I have a really confusing. You're saying this prison break like it's a great thing. Think of another thing that's like a prison break that happens. Oh, maybe in the second one when they have to break Woody out, they just copy it and put it in your movie and move on. You're claiming they ram through the vent where Rex actually gets a point to it. I'm saying that my movie actually, you're saying yours developed more. My characters are all still the gang together, and they're all united, and they're all helping and introducing very good characters. That plane scene at the very end where where Woody has to get Jessie out of the luggage and get her out and swing through, that's reminiscent of the first one. That's that heart, that's that soul from the movie that you love. I'm sorry that you're claiming that your movie's more fun as a thing. I don't know where that's even measurable, but mine, it treats Toy Story as actual characters, not one-off characters introduced with a bunch of new characters that don't mean anything to the plot, and we get Bonnie to get dropped off at the very end that no one cares about.
You keep saying it's emotional movement, and they're burning in the incinerator. The finale at the end, which is much better. In Toy Story 3.
Suck it. Sorry.
All right, Jacoby. Sorry, just strike "suck it" from the record, please. All right,
please keep that in the record.
Okay, fine, we can keep it in. Jacoby, you get 1 minute to close when you start talking.
I think it's easier to make excellent second films in franchises. Like if you think of all the great sequels, Empire Strikes Back, Dark Knight, Godfather Part 2, and so many of them are all great because they expand their worlds and their themes and their characters. But the pattern is that the third movie in a lot of those franchises with a fantastic second film doesn't live up to the high bar set before. Toy Story 3 is different. It's able to provide a more satisfying conclusion by fully embracing and concluding ideas in both the original and the second film. And I think that's a much harder job in general for a franchise, which is why Toy Story 3 is the best sequel. I know we've been attacking these movies a lot, but a lot of them is pretty much the same thing. It's only about their earned moments that come afterwards. And the better earned moments are in Toy Story 3. Looking at what Toy Story 3 does as a trilogy ender is so rare. And because it had the harder job of tying everything up and doing so in a literal perfect way that paralleled most of our experiences with this franchise and adulthood in general is what sets it apart. I think Toy Story 2 is a great sequel, but I think Toy Story 3 is the best sequel.
Time. Okay. We'll move over to Cody, who has 1 minute when he starts talking.
You can use the cheat track about Empire and all that stuff, the second one, to create a perfect film. But my overall arc is my characters were able to develop from the first one, get expanded, create the world, make it bigger, and make people care about these characters even more. Your character uses them as punchlines throughout without 3, makes them not care about them, introduces a bunch of new characters that we do not get to expand on and we do not care about. The incinerator is a cheap trick that Pixar used the same reason because Up came out a year prior and made everybody cry in the theater, and they used a cheap thing that they're holding Hanson's going to die in the incinerator. That was never going to happen. They were never going to burn toys alive. We all knew that, but everybody cried. It's cheap emotional manipulation. At the end of the day, Toy Story 2 treats these characters, introduces fantastic characters, and actually has some thrilling moments throughout the entire arc of the movie. Yours is my movie, just redone. Lotso is Prospector Pete. It's nothing different.
Time. Okay. Bring in the judges. Okay. Are we good, judges? All right, Scully, you're going to kick this off.
Okay. Make sure I'm not muted. I'm not muted. Awesome. Yeah, so I think both competitors had strong arguments, but I think the further it went on, especially in the closing arguments, Cody took it home. I think especially in the last minute, he really turns it up by really saying how 3 was more of, kind of doing two, but in a lesser sort of way. And I think in Jacoby's 1 minute closing, I think he accidentally, inadvertently moved the goalpost on his own argument with the whole second in a trilogy. It's hard to make a good third than a good second. So I think the backpedaling there solidified Cody's argument a lot more. And I think he accidentally ended up proving Cody correct. So I went with Cody for this one.
Interesting. I did not see that as backpedaling personally. I thought Jacoby's closing argument was very good. I took it as him saying that, like, yes, 2 is good and sequels can always, or like he basically said all sequels are always good, which is not true. But in the form of the argument, what he said, I got what he was going for, of saying, like, yes, 2 is good, but 3 is even better. At the end of the day, I still voted for Cody. I thought that Cody did a really good job of basically, I thought what kind of did it for me was his whole argument about, yeah, Ken is a great character, but otherwise Lotso is just a Prospector Pete ripoff, and sure, you get to see some backstory for him, but at the end of the day, it's still the same character, and that we knew they were never gonna burn up, and that like Ken is the only good new character. Everything else is like all the other characters, like you don't get anything from them. He also posed the question at one point of like, what do these toys like do that like these standout moments you're talking about? And Jacoby didn't really give us anything. Like if Jacoby had been like, oh, we get the great like tortilla thing with Mr. Potato Head and like bringing up stuff like that, like that could have maybe swayed it a different way, but he didn't. So at the end of the day, Yeah, I went with Cody. So he wins the point. Brian, where are you voting and why?
Oh, well, first of all, I thought this was a great debate. I think that everybody like really stepped up both the intensity and everything in this one. Early on, actually, I was leaning towards Jacoby. I thought he was really on fire with some of his early arguments. Then Cody came back though and started hitting with a lot of stuff about like the new characters, how they have no lasting power, how lots of it's just like Prospect Pete and things like that. I did actually end up going for Jacoby though. I think that he did a good job of defending the attacks about emotional manipulation, saying how it was all properly earned. I think in his he did a lot of good talking about how this was kind of the rare great ender, had the perfect ending to their story. Although if I was Cody, I would have attacked the fact that it wasn't the ending because they went for the real cash grab, which was 4. But I won't talk about that one. But I voted for Jacoby.
All right, so we are all tied up 1-1 going into the third question. So this next question was drafted by Jacoby. It is in the category of the MCU, and the question is, who would you cast as Wolverine in an upcoming MCU film? So, Jacoby, you get to start this one. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
She-Hulk recently had an Easter egg news headline that said, "Man fights with metal claws in bar brawl." Obviously, I think that's a Wolverine reference. And if I asked you, who do you picture more starting a knockdown, brutal, savage, gritty bar brawl? Do you see Taron Egerton or Carl Urban? Taron Egerton is a gentleman in bar fights. Carl Urban would burn the whole place down. Wolverine is a wild animal in human clothes. He should be portrayed as someone who looks like they'll snap at you if you look at them the wrong way. Someone who's clearly been around for decades and a little world weary, but underneath the gruff exterior, you'll find like a good sense of justice. Carl Urban is so perfect for the MCU's Wolverine, not only because of, his crazed, wild eyes, and his hulking, beefing, bulky frame and his intimidating personality, but because an older Wolverine fits the character better and fits the MCU better. Carl Urban is Wolverine come to life. And he's awesome.
All right. Let's move over to Cody, who has 1 minute when he starts talking.
Yeah, so I picked somebody in the MCU because I want somebody to have staying power inside the MCU. I'm glad you brought up She-Hulk, but that doesn't mean shit here. Sorry to drop that nugget on you, but it's not in Fanzone. But my thing is, Taron Egerton is literally a character that I think could play Wolverine for the next 20 years. The whole thing is we just had Hugh Jackman play the character for so long, and I want a character to be able to have lasting power throughout. And to play him. You just pick somebody that literally Hugh Jackman just retired from the role at age 50. Also, not to mention, he's already in the MCU. You picked another character that already has a role inside the MCU and putting him into another character. That makes no sense. Everybody says Taron Egerton. Yes, he's smaller stature. That's what Wolverine is. I think he could actually fit into the part. There's people like Dana Radcliffe, other people that have been mentioned, also smaller size. I want somebody to be able to play him, and I think he has the acting ability to rise to the occasion.
Okay. All right. Taron Egerton versus Carl Urban. 5-minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
Taron Egerton is a spectacularly bad choice for Wolverine. You're thinking in that studio producer mindset of trying to pick someone young and popular who you can lock down for 20 years, as you said. But here's the thing. Wolverine shouldn't be young or that popular. He's supposed to be rough, who has the potential to go berserk if they get too angry. Two types of Taron Egerton roles are incredibly suave and charming, or he's got the babyface G. Willikers Mr. Energy that doesn't work for the Wolverine character, whereas Carl Urban embodies this inner rage that's ready to be unleashed. And right off the bat, you say he's already played a part. Gemma Chan played 2 characters, a side villain in Captain Marvel, and then a main character in Eternals. Mahershala Ali played a side character in Luke Cage, and then a main character in Blade. It doesn't
Luke
matter.
Cage doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter that he's played it. When he fits the character so well, the fact that he's already part of it isn't an issue, and he's better fits the character than your actor.
See, I understand. I like people become actors and they change and they're able to develop and become other actors. Just because they've played something certain doesn't mean they can't grow and become something else and act like something else. I'm looking for a Wolverine to be more like the 90s comic. I want the costume. I want overall. I want that character. You picked basically an older Hugh Jackman to play the role. Hugh Jackman retired from the role. Hold on. Hugh Jackman retired from the role because it was too much of a strain on his body. He's going to be 60. You brought up something that we can't even argue in this debate. It doesn't matter what happens in the bar fight, but at the end of the day, I would like some other actors to get opportunities to play other roles. Your guy was literally in Thor. People are going to look at that and be like, wasn't that the guy from Thor? Yeah, that was a guy from Thor. Pick somebody else other than that. You just reused another character. Luke Cage doesn't matter, by the way, too. Just
okay. Okay, it doesn't matter. And you keep saying like, that he's too old for it. But here's the thing. Carl's urban age means Wolverine wouldn't be the main character in an X-Men movie. But guess what? That's a good thing. We've had 20 years of Hugh Jackman being the face of the X-Men with his Wolverine. And frankly, the MCU should not do that. They should focus on other mutants who have been sidelined all these years. Having Taron Egerton as Wolverine puts him as the main character that we're going to follow again and rehash all the stories that we just saw again. Carl Urban as the old, weary, brutal, savage Wolverine who's off to the side and part of the X-Men, but not the leader of the X-Men, is better overall for the franchise. So get out of here because you're just trying to rehash everything that we just did again and an actor who's horrible for the role.
I think it's just weird that we're having this conversation about, like, you're pitching what I'm wanting to do, but my overall, I want the X-Men to be a team, and I don't expect him to be the lead. I want him to be with the thing. And you're saying, oh, the things we've already had before, and blah, blah, blah. We haven't had the X-Men in the MCU with actual great direction, and that's what I want. The whole thing is I want somebody to be able to take the X-Men and treat them as a team, and Wolverine is a piece of the team, not a leader of the team. Your guy would literally be the guy. They already have Professor X. Can you let me talk for a second without making just grand stands? No, Brian, I know why you get pissed off.
Please.
Well, I am. I'm saying the whole thing is you're telling me I'm picking a character that does not work in the role, but overall, if you would have told me, hey, could he play Elton John? I would have said absolutely not. He played Elton John. He did a fantastic job. There's actors that grow and make characters. He could don the claws and be that person.
There's nothing wrong with a character already exerting the energy that a character has and casting them for that. That's something the MCU should embrace. And you're flip-flopping, it seems like, on what you're talking about. Like, oh, Taron Egerton can be Wolverine, but he doesn't have to be the lead of Wolverine. Taron Egerton is one of the hottest up-and-comers there. You don't cast him as the side character. So I don't know what you're talking about. Carl Urban is the perfect level of actor to bring something interesting to Wolverine, to do the character justice as it should, and move the MCU forward in a way that doesn't rehash what came before. You're basically trying to redo the Fox franchise. You said like, oh, but better direction. What does that have to do with anything here? Carl Urban fits the character better, and that's okay. You don't have to bend Taron Egerton to the will of that.
My biggest confusion with you is that you're saying that I'm saying what I want. I want him to be actual team. There's never been an X-Men movie yet that's come about that's actually a team movie. There's never been a team movie. It's always Wolverine and a sidekick of mutants. I want an actual character to be a filling point in the MCU. I don't need a rough and grumble guy that you want. I don't understand what that means.
You wanted Wolverine from the 90s.
I do. In the suit. I want him in the suit. I want him shaped like that.
But nice in a Taron Egerton sort of way.
Oh my gosh. Can you shut the fuck up? Like, I got to be able to say my stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Carl Urban is already in the MCU. He's already past the age. He will not be able to carry the mantle. And if you want an old guy leading the team, his name is Professor X, and he's already in charge. I don't understand why you're wanting another character that's already buried in the MCU to do the same thing that Hugh Jackman just did, but the lesser version of it. We're going to see the lesser version of it for the next 20 years.
All right.
I can't keep debating if I can't get a word in. Like, I've literally paused numerous times and every time.
All right.
Sorry,
Cody. Okay. Cody, you're going first, so you have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
I think the main problem with the Fox X-Men is they've always fumbled the bag when they had characters. They treated X-Men you treated Wolverine as the main star, and he's always in the forefront because Hugh Jackman was that. The thing is, I want the X-Men to be a team, and I think Taron Egerton is the perfect person to put into the team. X-Men First Class is one of those perfect movies that come along where they introduce the team as a team dynamic, and then they have the people leading them. I want Taron Egerton to be that character for him for the next decade or more. I think he can play that role. Just because he doesn't look like the character or he hasn't done a role like that before does not mean he can't put on a role and do that thing. Karl Urban is already already in the MCU. The only thing he's getting picked for is because he's in The Boys, and that's very popular. Overall, I think he is already in the MCU. He's going to do a Hugh Jackman Diet Coke version, and everybody's going to compare it to him. I don't see him doing anything different than we didn't see. He's retiring. Hugh Jackman retired as Old Man Logan at the same age that Karl Urban would be taking on the mantle. That makes no sense. I don't want to see my Wolverine sit down and tell a bunch of kids what to go do.
Time. Okay. I'll move over to Jacoby. 1 minute when you start talking.
Taron Egerton is a great actor, but just the wrong choice for Wolverine. I mean, he's charismatic, compelling to watch, and has the energy and personality that people gravitate to. He could be a great leader, but I don't think the MCU's Wolverine shouldn't be any of those things. Cody's argument about the fact that, yeah, we could cast Taron Egerton, but also make him a side character and not the A-lister. But you don't do that when you cast Taron Egerton in a role. I think Taron Egerton will work in any other role, any other mutant, but not Wolverine. Wolverine should be brutal, a little dirty, maybe sort of an asshole in like a straightforward and honest way, and someone who just exudes danger and unpredictability. Karl Urban can do that in a way Taron Egerton can't. It does set up Karl Urban does set up the Wolverine character for more long-term success, because then we don't just get a Hashman era just rehash of everything that's happening, because it does so in a different way with an actor who embodies the role so well. You have to severely alter the Wolverine character to make Taron Egerton right for the role, where Urban already embodies everything great about the character and can do more interesting things as time goes on.
Time. Okie dokie. I love it when we come back and Brian is doing the.
I don't know. This is the toughest one for me.
This was the hardest one.
Okay, I'm ready.
I am too.
Sorry, Cody.
Okay, I guess.
I had my hand on the trigger. I was ready, and then he stopped. All right, Brian, you are kicking this one off. Thank God.
All right. First of all, the correct answer is Travis Fimmel from Vikings. Just saying.
Don't know who that is.
This is a hard one for me. Again, it's hard to judge when there are two very different approaches to the character. Like Jacoby said, Taron Egerton, you always have to you have to change him and bend him to make him the character who Wolverine is. Whereas as Karl Urban kind of is that grizzled kind of Wolverine now. But then Cody's got his points about how, he's already the age Hugh Jackman was when he retired. So if you're looking at this as a franchise and you want this film to kick off more, how long is he going to be able to play the role? That kind of thing. It's a coin flip. In the end, I lean slightly towards Cody, ever so slightly. I don't even know. Give me 5 more minutes, I'll change mine again.
All right, Scully.
Yeah, this was neck and neck for me as well. You had like kind of the fixed versus growth mindset from both competitors, but I think in the end, Cody was able to bring a more unique argument to the table about having Taron Egerton and having a very different Wolverine in this MCU, a younger, drastically different than what we had with the Fox X-Men. I think ultimately he was able to make those points a lot stronger than Jacoby. So it was neck and neck, but I had to go Cody slightly.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I also voted for Cody. I think that it was really close, but again, at the end of the day, kind of what you guys were saying, the Karl Urban maybe being that like grizzled look, definitely like kind of fits what we know the character now, but like I liked what Cody was saying about just because Edgerton's never had a role like this before doesn't mean that he couldn't pull something like it off. And he kind of gave me, he explained me kind of like a pitch of like where the character would go and how it would be utilized. And I thought Jacoby is trying to take that down of being like, if you cast Edgerton, like he's just going to be the lead. I think that's overestimating Taron Egerton's popularity as an actor. And that's something that Jacoby was kind of putting out there and not necessarily like a fact to back it. There's like no facts to back that up. So that didn't like 100% work for me. So that's where Cody kind of slid in. So Cody gets that point. So he is up 2-1, and we are going to go to the final prep question. Jacoby needs to hit this in order to stay in it. It is Cody's category, the category of sports. And the question is, which non-fandom movie, baseball player or coach would you want to teach you the game of baseball? Not the game of life or Monopoly, but
what? Oh no!
I know. Sorry,
I did not prepare as well. Okay.
Can I get 10 more minutes?
So Cody, you are going to get to start this one. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
So when the question thing, I had to message Tim to make sure I wasn't cheating. But I picked 42. I picked Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson, inside the movie, I will do inside the movie. I won't do outside the movie, but inside the movie, he is literally one of the best all-around baseball players that ever played the game. He broke the color barrier. He played in the hardest time that any baseball player has ever had to play in. He had people throwing at him and people trying to just kill him at the plate, and he was able to stay collected and strong and do what he needed to do and teach you the fundamentals. Not only a great fielder, but a great base runner, but a great hitter. He played all over the field as well. If I wanted to learn the game from somebody, I need somebody that's going to be there and be patient with me. And I think Jackie does that as a character throughout this movie. He shows that he can be accommodating and help his teammates grow.
All right. We'll move over to Jacoby. 1 minute when you start talking.
Who would I want to teach me the game of baseball? Well, I have some criteria for this because I don't know a lot about baseball. So I want someone with experience, someone with an intimate knowledge of the game who knows it inside and out, who can not only teach me the ins and outs of how to swing better, how to anticipate pitches better, how to catch better, how to read other players better, but also teach me about the heart and soul of baseball. Crash Davis meets this criteria, I think, perfectly. He is literally brought in to teach an inexperienced wild pitcher how to play the game, and he teaches him so well that the pitcher goes on to the major leagues that season. He recognizes potential within you and can turn it into something great. A fact that's literally proved in my movie. Crash Davis adores baseball. He knows everything about baseball, and he knows how to make you love baseball, which is something I need because I don't really love baseball that much. So that's why Crash Davis is the correct choice for who I want to teach me this game.
Time. All right. 5 minute free form when one of you starts talking.
And no talking over each other, Cody.
Yes, correct.
I'll learn. Overall, Jackie Robinson, I think, is overall the best person to tell me if I needed somebody to catch or teach me how to pitch fully. Your guy, but overall, if I wanted a gourmet chef to teach me how to cook, I'd ask a gourmet chef to teach me, not a guy that works at Taco Bell. Your guy's a minor league baseball player that can't teach me at the highest level. My guy's able to teach me at the highest level versus the highest competition and be able to help me get to the actual level. Your guy raised for a call-up. We don't know whatever happens to him, but hopefully he does well in the majors and does great. He also teaches that same pitcher to pitch his fastball over the middle to a person that hits the ball first, looks for fastballs, and he takes them deep. Not a great lesson overall.
Cody, I think your choice is baffling for me. Thank you for saying you're choosing Jackie Robinson in the movie, because in the movie itself, you picked a 26-year-old in the 1940s who's having his very first season in the major leagues, so he's still learning the game. You pick someone, you keep saying, you said like, you want a gourmet chef to do it, because they call him superhuman multiple times, which means Jackie is full of natural talent. And guess what? That's almost impossible to teach someone else. Like, Robinson is great at base stealing, but how's he going to teach you that? Tell you to run faster? Crash doesn't have a lot of natural talent, even though he does hold the minor league record of number of home runs hit, which is a fact that's a pretty big accomplishment too. And he also has the knowledge to teach you how to be a better player and to understand the game.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Yes, he's a young guy. He's supernatural, but that doesn't mean like supernatural. Like people that are really talented can't teach other people the game of baseball. That's how they grow and how they develop into like coaches and beyond. My thing is Jackie Robinson. Yes, he has that thing, but he also is going against the hardest competition possible in that season. People are throwing at his head. People are trying to beat him up every chance they get, and he's able to succeed and go through. Choke up on the bat, get people ready to go, play the field, do great things, and teach you how to do that. You can teach somebody how to be a baseball player. It is the very thing you can do. And he does that, and he helps his teammates go, and he plays all over the field.
You know how he teaches his teammates? By not doing anything. That's his teaching style. His whole movie, you pick someone whose character's the point, is told not to engage, not to fight back, to keep his head down. So when he's asked questions, he's either defensive or gives very short, sarcastic answers. So I don't know how he's going to teach me the game, because there's barely any evidence to your movie to the contrary. Where in my movie, Crash is doing nothing but teaching Nuke how to play the game and how to treat the game with respect. And then Nuke goes on to the major league. So if I want to pick someone who's either getting attacked by because of the color of his skin every time he goes and everywhere he goes and is trying to overcome a hurdle, or someone who has the actual experience of being in the league for over 12 years, then I'm going to choose Crash Davis.
Minor leagues. Let's remember that he leads the league in the most home runs because he's in the field that he can't get to the major level. He's been there for 21 days, and it's the greatest 21 days of his life. Said in your movie. Overall, my character is, if I wanted somebody to teach me, it doesn't technically in the question tell me they have to have teaching experience in the movie. I want somebody that is a great player of baseball to teach me the game. I wouldn't want somebody that has been sent down to the minors to get somebody else up that couldn't get himself up. At the end of the day, I think he's a great catcher and he's great with pitchers, but he doesn't help throughout the field. He can't help anybody else on the field. If I didn't want to be a pitcher, I'm useless to him. I can't play the outfield because he can't play the outfield. I want somebody that can play all over the infield, all over the outfield, and help me become that player.
One of the first things that Crash Davis says in the movie is it's like he goes up to someone who he hasn't seen in 5 years, and he immediately points him out and says, "You were pitching for El Paso. I was hitting cleanup. You hung a curveball on an 0-2 pitch in a 3-2 game, and I tattooed it over the Michelin tire sign. Beat you 4-3." That's such a great first introduction because it tells you that Crash is incredibly knowledgeable about baseball, that he's been around for so long that he's experienced, and he's talented in a way that has information to teach you. You said it yourself. We're just like, okay, like I'm using there's no evidence in your movie that he's actually teaching somebody. Branch Rickey in your movie is the one teaching Jackie Robinson how to play this game more. And if I had to pick someone who's being taught how to participate and engage with baseball, or someone who can teach other people baseball, your argument against Crash Davis not going up to the major leagues doesn't matter because you can teach other people to do it.
Okay, I'm just saying, where your memory of pulling up when he hit a home run off of somebody does not help me become any more of a coach. My guy does not have a coaching experience in the movie. That's correct. But the question was, who do I want to teach? I want Jackie Robinson teaching. I want somebody that is going to come at me hard. If I'm in the box and somebody's going to pitch into me hard, I want that person to be Jackie Robinson to teach me how to hit off of adversity. I want that person to when I'm down in the count to be able to hit beyond them. When I'm on base, I want him to be able to tell me the leadoff and how to be able to run back and forth. I want to be able to how to get a better jump in the infield and be able to field. That is what Jackie Robinson could bring to the table.
No evidence in your movie about that.
I don't know. Hey. Okay. Jacoby, we're going to you first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Having Jackie Robinson teach you how to play baseball is like asking Superman to teach you how to bend steel bars. Great in theory, but won't result in anything because you can't be on that level. Throughout the movie, we hear how Jackie is superhuman and has natural talent. But as I tried to say, you can't really teach that. Cody picked an overall inexperienced in a game sense, 26-year-old playing in his first major league season, who had outright better things to do. As Cody kept saying, he kept getting thrown at. He was dealing with systemic racism on top of them. So he's a little busy than to try to teach anyone the game. I would rather learn from Crash Davis. Crash is introduced as an experienced teacher that we see from the start to the end of the movie, that not only does his teaching methods result in major league success, but we see Crash as someone who loves baseball with every fiber of his being. So it doesn't matter that he doesn't get called up. He can instill that into others. So from an experience standpoint, from a knowledge standpoint, from a teachable talent standpoint, from a love of the game standpoint, Crash Davis is the better answer for who should teach you the game of baseball.
Game of baseball. Strike it from the record. Bring up Cody. 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
What player to teach you the game? They don't have to teach within the movie. They just have to teach you. And I want the character to be able to teach me. Jackie Robinson in that first year learns more about baseball than Crash Davis has in 12 years of baseball. Overall, he can get Nuke up to the thing, but major leagues, guess what? He probably sent down the next start. That doesn't mean he stays. At the end of the day, he couldn't keep himself up there. He can't teach. He's great at a minor league level, but if I wanted to rise up and be that character, maybe not as level of Jackie Robinson is great because he's superhuman, but I want to be able to learn the game from the person that can play all areas of the field, help me on base, help me at the plate, help me field the balls. Crash Davis can teach me how to pitch if that's the only area of the game, but there are multiple areas of this baseball game that you need to learn. And Jackie Robinson is a question. Yes, he's learning about some tips. He's getting thrown at. I'm not going to pull him aside after the game and be like, hey, can you teach me now? No, I just want him to teach me. It's my area of the world. The question's that Jackie Robinson's the perfect answer. I want somebody to be able to teach me how to be a better baseball player. He's the answer.
Answer. Strike it from the record.
Definitely in time.
I don't know about that. Let's bring in the judges. Okay. You guys both ready to go and I'm the only one struggling?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm going first. I don't want to because I hate these. This was interesting because Jacoby, I thought his opening was really, really, really strong. And I thought that Cody did a really good job of like it was kind of silly, but like the gourmet chef comparison actually like worked for me. And Cody's like whole thing about like, yeah, like, it doesn't like, we don't need to see them teach in the movie. We just need to pick a character that we think could like teach us like that. I mean, is in my opinion, technically true. So I kind of used that as well when thinking about it. This was tough for me. You guys were very quick. I went with Cody. I thought that the other thing that really did work for me was like Jacoby was hammering home this whole thing about how Jackie Robinson is super in the movie is superhuman, is like referenced as being superhuman. But I thought Cody did a good job of saying that like those things can get taught, and like the point is that like he went up against literally everything and was successful, and those types of things like can like he convinced me that he would be able to then share that with other people moving forward. It was tough because I liked Jacoby's argument too of like just Crash being like, and I haven't seen that movie, so I don't know if it was all bullshit or not, but his whole thing about just like Crash being just like a guy who like loves the game so much, but also we don't know if like Jacoby relied on the fact a lot about how that player that he was like coaching is able to go to the major leagues, but we don't know if that like actually worked or not, or like that was another hit from Cody that worked for me. So again, it was really tough. And this is also because I also don't know. I like watching baseball, but I don't know how to fucking play baseball. So Brian, you're gonna go next.
I went the other way. I went Jacoby. I thought that Jacoby was very smart in that he attacked the fact that we're looking at a character in a movie. So you're looking at Jackie Robinson at this point in his life, when he is just starting out his first season. He's inexperienced. He's someone who is still being taught, whereas Crash is someone who you see teaching not only the fundamentals and things of the game, but the mental aspects of the game, the respect for the game, the whole concept, things like that. And so I thought that approach is what leaned it in his direction for me.
Okay. And Scully, are we moving on to to a speed round, or is it over?
I think both competitors had
I like both of them, by the way.
What? No. I think both competitors had very, very strong arguments. I agreed with a lot of what both were saying. But in the end, because he also hit on the mental aspects and the emotional aspects of the game of baseball, I went with Cody. Because who better than to teach you about all aspects of the game of baseball than the guy who saw it not just from a baseball standpoint, but from a stressful, emotional, mental state as well. Think about the time period that he played it in. I think just because he was able to hammer home the points on that, and Jacoby really didn't do that with his player as well, with his coach. It is made for a stronger argument for Cody, so that's why I went Cody.
All right, well, that means your winner is Cody Newberry. We are going to start with talking with Jacoby. Jacoby, great job. You came back with a vengeance. I love seeing you debate. It honestly, like, it's super exciting because you can just tell that, like, you know what you're talking about, even if you don't know what you're talking about. And I love that so much because it's hard for some people to do. And you just seemed super prepared, and it was really, really fun to watch. I love watching you debate. So I'm sorry it didn't go your way, but it was a great match to watch. How are you feeling about it afterwards?
Yeah, no, I feel great. It was kind of funny how I kind of came into this match because I haven't debated in a while. I'm just like, okay, you know what? I bet I can be a calm debater. I bet this can be civil. But then I forgot that I was arguing Cody, and I forgot what I do in matches, which is get way too excited for my own good. So I don't know why I did that. But no, it's good. It's bittersweet to lose because it always sucks to lose and stuff. But Cody had great arguments for everything that he had. You know, in my preparation, thinking of how he's going to attack certain things, and like he went ways that I didn't anticipate for, which kind of threw me off a little bit there. So that means Cody is a great debater, but I had a lot of fun, and I had to, like, in the honest, like I was sad that like I didn't win, but then then the thought of, oh, we don't have to go to a speed round made me kind of happy. So it's kind of the delicate balance, but I had a great time, and it was a lot of fun to debate Cody.
Jacoby, we will for sure be having you back in some capacity at the beginning of next year. We don't know exactly what, if it's a tournament or just another type title picture. We don't know.
Right.
But we're going to have you back for sure. Is there anybody that you want to go up against next season?
No, I would like before this, I would have said like Cody was like one of the ones who I haven't, debated, who's been around for a while, but now there's a lot of new people there so it's like, I think new people would be good. People who I don't know about and have a lot of history with, I think would be exciting. Unless Two-Egg wants to start debating, then I choose him.
I have offered him. I actually offered him this spot, and he said no.
Wow.
So there, it was like him and then Cody were the two as far as like the rankings went. And he said, I think I'm going to take some time off. And I said, you get Cody then. So, and Cody was just coming off the title match. I was like, either of these is going to be disgusting. So we'll see if Two-Egg's back next season or not. But
if not, anyone's great. This is always fun. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacoby. As we bring in Mr. Newberry, who won today, I did a thing at the end where I decided I was voting for Cody. And so I started writing Cody, and then I did the Nick thing where I wrote longer than I normally do.
And he rolled his eyes. He's like,
because I saw him roll his eyes when I finished writing because he thought I wrote Jacoby because it's longer than Cody.
You got me. You definitely got me.
I'm an evil man. But anyway, Cody, you win today. Not quite a knockout, but you didn't have to go to the bonus question. And you won a question that Jacoby drafted as well. So really good performance today. How are you feeling?
I feel okay. Okay. Jacoby's the one like me and Jacoby's like history in these leagues started on the like probably the most rocky side of ever. Like
What?
and I was the calmest person in that, and I still carried so much heat from it. But I've always liked Jacoby as a person. I did not want to get to the speed round against Jacoby because Jacoby is like scary. Like I probably was more scared of this match than Kirk because Kirk knows what he knows and he picks those good characters. We pick things we all liked into a regard, and I knew, even though I picked Jackie and I knew I had arguments, I knew he had something for it, and I thought it could have went in either way. So Jacoby's a fantastic debater. I hope to never see him again. But overall, I think he's great. I now apologize. There's no real shot at Jacoby, but I apologize to Brian and everybody else when we make those facial expressions. I've done a really good job since Brian brought that up, but I now have faced like the king of it, and it fucking pissed me off. So I apologize to everybody that I've ever done that to. He got under my skin really well. He worked, and I just, when he won the first one, when I thought confident in the first one, I knew I had to turn it on in the next three because I didn't want the speakers. So, all in all, with that saying, I think I did okay. I think there was areas that I could have improved, but Jacoby was able to push me outside my comfort zone a lot during this fight. And if you guys would have voted for him on any of the three, I would have understood it completely. And some of you guys did. So it made sense. I think we both put everything out there, especially after question one, and did our best at the debate. So I don't know what the future holds for me in this league, but if Jacoby's not challenged for the belt by the end of the year next year, that's crazy to me because I think he is by far top three debater in this league, without a doubt.
Yeah. No, Cody, like I said to Jacoby, we know that you're going to be back next season. You're either going to be a high-ranked person in a tournament sense, or you're going to be in another title-esque picture. So is there anybody that you want to play? Is it just to get back to Kirk, or is there anybody you want to see along the way?
I don't want to sound cocky. I really don't. Other than that, it's gonna come out sounding cocky. I don't want anybody in particular because I want Kirk. Kirk is the measuring stick, and I lost by a question against Kirk. If we look down, and I lost on the very last question against Kirk in a title match. So anybody I play, I don't think is going to have enough to beat me because all I want is to go. I've thought about Roy Batty more than I've ever thought about anything else since a match, and I mean that means I'm passionate for it. That means I want to play. That means I want to do this, and I think I'm good at it. But I want to destroy him. So Nazario, Coho, Brooklyn, stepping stones. So if you don't give me a number one contenders match, just help me get my record up to a higher spot. So, but I will be playing Kirk sometime next year, guaranteed.
Awesome. All right. Well, I look forward to it, and I look forward to seeing what you do next, Cody. Let's get final thoughts from Mr. Scully.
Yeah, this was really, really fun. I think both competitors came with a lot of fire, a lot of passion. It got a lot of hand at times, but they were able to reel it in. Thankfully, no one had to step in and break them apart. But yeah, strong arguments all the way around. There really wasn't one that I thought was a major landslide. I think even in sports where Cody, knowledge-wise, has a significant advantage, Jacoby had a great argument for it. So I think both competitors showed why they are two of the best in the league. And if you're any other competitor facing either Jacoby or Cody down the line, say your prayers because they're both nasty.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and Brian, final thoughts from you.
Yeah, I think it's a tough draw for both of them, especially Jacoby, who's coming off a little bit of layoff since his last appearance here, and he gets to come back in his first ones against Cody. And I think it's just a matter of you get to a certain point, when you've gotten so good that you're only going to be facing the higher level competition. It's you don't get any easy matches anymore. So it was tough, but it also resulted in one of the best debates that I've gotten to judge. Because they each had, I think, one clean sweep, and then the other ones were split. But even the ones that they swept it, I don't think anything was a blowout, like Thomas was saying. So I enjoyed it. I will say I did enjoy watching Cody get some of his own medicine when Jacoby starts making the faces and stuff like that, so I enjoyed that a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Cody and Jacoby and Brian and Scully for judging this one with me. We're going to be back soon with more matches, so be on the lookout for everything coming up, including the title match, because we totally know who Kirk is playing soon. So we'll see you guys soon with more matches. Until then, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
There we go. Thank you very much. Please come again. We have a lot more groceries.